Good afternoon, everyone. David DuByne here from Adapt2030.tv and oilseedcrops.org. Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, 6 months to avert a global famine. Australia releases new research. The virus can stay on coins and bills for up to a month. Oh, let's just go straight to a digital currency. And those that aren't preparing for the changes, called survival dependents, are going to be knocking on your door. What do you do when that happens? Because the news media can only explain away so many disruptions using the natural disaster. We'll check that one off. Declining trend. Strange animal behavior as a hiker is stalked for 6 minutes by this cougar. All the while humans are being domesticated. Keep your mask on in between bites at the restaurant. Don't become the horse, become the wild cougar. A new study found websites shared over 100 trillion pieces of personal data last year. This data was taken off websites, apps, and personal browsers like the one you might be on now. I don't like being spied on by advertisers, which is why I use Virtual Shield. You can head over to virtualshield.com, and in the Download tab, I'm going to choose Firefox. And click Install Now to add the Virtual Shield add-on. It's just that easy. And get started with your free 30-day trial. Install it, click Connect. You'll see the shield turn from red to green, and you'll see how from my initial service provider I was able to even change my IP. Virtual Shield Network protected. And Virtual Shield continues to offer its loyal customers a whopping 50% off all plans for life to help save costs during this unprecedented crisis. The link's in the description box below. And in yet an endless line of, oh, the world's going to end in this many months or this many years. Here's the newest one. 6 months to avert a global famine. Looks like a timeline sped up before that was years or decades, and now it's just 6 months. Surging prices for cereals, grains, vegetable oils. This report, released by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, you can already see the set for the explanation. When the dismal harvest sweeps the planet, there's already a ready excuse made. But wait, they only need $5 billion in emergency funds, and they can avert a whole famine in the globe. Really? That's so magic that they can just print food out of nothing. And it keeps coming back to this all-inclusive excuse for every change we've seen since the beginning of the year. Now, this is getting worn, tired, and old, so this is going to have to shift to something new. Collapse of the economy, introduction of a new central bank digital currency would fit the bill. One-all excuse for every change that needs to move forward from this point. But here it is. The virus. Disruptions in domestic food supply chains, food production, loss of incomes, remittances, tensions in food security, all because of the bug. Now, once the harvests come in really lean this year, and the switch over to digital currency and digital wallets for all of us, universal basic income, whatever you want to call it, in earnest starts a reset of the economy, a revaluation of cash itself. That'll be the excuse to keep everybody drawn and biting their nails for a whole nother year. That'll explain away every other thing that's gone wrong or every change that's in our planet. Look for it. 2.0 catch-all excuse inbound right now. Because they're already prepping you for it. Look at this. The virus can survive on banknotes for up for 4 weeks now. Remember, originally it was like, 9 days or something. Now, it can stay on a whole month. We can't use cash anymore. We can't use coins anymore. It's so advantageous and so timely to switch to a central bank digital currency. We'll all be safer. Because at least the plan for the United Nations is to break up the United States. We call this balkanization. And here's where it gets kind of strange, because if you're not preparing for these changes already, regardless of what happens with the United States breaking into smaller entities, you still need to be ready for all the changes that the sun is throwing at us, the possibility of disruptions further in supply chains. You're going to have to grow some of your own food. So all these things are adding up to a narrative build that something massive is more inbound. And then I came across this really good article here, which I linked in the description box below. 25 skills that are going to be in demand when we're tossed back to a pioneering lifestyle. Being a lawyer is not one of those. Growing food is another. Blacksmithing. Think of the old skills. Doctors. It's a really good read the way the checklist goes down. It makes you think about what skills do you have or you could hone or build on right now to make yourself more valuable in a community. Because the reason I bring this up is we're all going to have to make a lot of choices really quickly moving forward here about who you're going to let in, around, and with your communities, if you have one built up, or with your family, or even in your home. Food disruptions in earnest are in full play because that's the plan. As you can see the build of the narrative already, it's all setting up for this. And this is a real world scenario here. So how do you deal with neighbors and friends and family that come begging at your door for food because they didn't prepare? And it's very clear, and I totally agree with what was written. Unless you subscribe to the idea of turning everybody away, which might work in the beginning, but give it 6 or 7 days, hungry families are not going to accept your no answer. They're going to barge their way in, break their way in, fight their way in because they know you have the resources. So you have to think about who knows that you might be more well off or more prepared for these emergencies than others. Well, they call them survival dependents. They're grouped into loosely these 4 categories here: immediate family, extended family, friends, and coworkers. So take a mental note of who you told about this grand solar minimum and things you might be getting ready for and ideas you had about getting more self-sufficient because somebody put that in their subconscious that didn't register it now, mocked you, made fun of you, whatever. But when it comes down to it, they're going to remember you and they're going to come a knocking. So going back to the idea that you can't turn everybody away, people are power. And I even highlighted it. There is tremendous power in numbers, especially if you're combining skill. And with larger numbers of people, you're combining security and tasks, hands to get work done. Because let's say supply chains get disrupted and food goes away out of the supermarkets, cities are in chaos, people are fleeing out of there into the countryside, whatever. Even if the electricity grid still stays on, which it will in so many places, it's still going to be a major task to grow enough food for 5 to 10 people. And then keep that secure. And then get your animal husbandry out there, doing the chickens, doing the goats, doing the sheep, whatever you have. Wild harvesting, wild foraging, preparing like acorns. I've been really looking at acorns, acorn seasons now. If you look, there's millions of acorns laying around. A new skill for me building is how to take those acorns and turn them into flour. Because right now on the forest floor, there is free food everywhere because not a lot of people know what it is, especially the hickory nuts as well. But even for you to go out and get 10 pounds of that so then you can make it flour at one time, so the task is easier, obviously, scaling. One person to try to do that and go out to do the chickens and keep them safe and to do the vegetables and to wash yourself and to do this and to do that and. One person, you're not going to do it. 10 people, you can get it done and live fruitful lives as well. So think about that. Who are the people you want to take in? And another thing, if you already have a few people around you and these survival dependents come rocking in on you, put them to work immediately. If they come to your place, they're not staying for free. Put them to work. If they say, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. At least you have the other people right there to go, get out right now. You're not welcome any longer. If you don't want to do any work and that's all the more that you think you're entitled to free stuff because I had stuff that I prepared and you didn't, get out right now. And there's also others to back you up at that point. And that would be the very least they could do is work to trade for something that you're going to give them, even if it's shelter and safety at that point. If they don't do what you're asking to say for tasks and chores around your area, they're not welcome. They cannot stay. And make it known from minute number 1. You come in, you work, you can stay, you can help. But the minute that stops, that contract for agreement stops and you're out the door. Hopefully you can weed these people out. And again, once in, they're not going to want to leave, so you're going to have a group of people to get them out. Because think about all the landlords right now that can't evict their tenants. Although they want to, because the landlords still have to pay the mortgages, commercial, to the banks. But those staying for free, well, they're not going to want to leave. They're going to put up a fight if they have to leave. Now, another convenient excuse for the whole narrative of things are disrupted because, fill in the blank. We could probably go 15 deep on that list. I'll put another one right here. Number of recorded natural disaster events. These are all of them. From the earthquakes to the volcanic eruptions, floods, extreme weather, whatever that would be. You can see the downward trend since the year 2000. Corporate media would have you believe it's going the complete opposite direction, vertical to the moon. And this one's even from the disaster database in Brussels that collates every single disaster across the planet in our world data. And also, strange behaviors, not only in the human realm of things with the magnetic field on our planet shifting, but animals are starting to behave strangely as well. This video, which I linked also in the description box, of this cougar following and charging this hiker for 6 minutes, if I was that guy, I definitely would have been more scared than he was. This cougar was charging him down, and every time he backed up a few feet, this cougar would jump in and try to take more ground back. So I don't know if it was protecting its young, or if it was hungry, but you see wildlife across the planet behaving strangely right now. It is unusual, to say the least, that a cougar would come charging like this. A full 6 minutes, and he finally got down the road, started throwing some rocks, and then it scared it back a bit. But this whole retooling and retraining about the way you understand food, not only is the UN saying food shortage, famine, inbound, but the difficulty for you to go to restaurants is also encouraging people to stay home. It's real difficult. And now there's been so many restaurants across countries in the UK, especially, that they've been selling the data. When you go in and you register, you have to give your phone number, email, whatever, so you can sit in the restaurant for the tracing. They're making it incredibly difficult or cumbersome to get to a restaurant. Now they've even taken it a step further. Keep your mask on between the bites. I'm not making this up. This is in California. So as you take a bite, you're supposed to put it back over, chew an extra amount of time so you don't have to take the mask off so much. I think I could describe this as, retraining? Putting you into a feed bag? If you're good, you get 2 scoops today, Johnny. Because this is where fine dining is going. If you have a high enough social credit score, and if your digital wallet's still linked, you'll be allowed to have a pizza. Yay. I hope you can see the wider picture as well. Because as we progress through the end of the year here and into Q1 of 2021, the shift from excuse number 1, catch all, to excuse number 2, catch all, will transition. And I think people are going to be much more worried about the money now that they've gotten so used to obeying to the requests of anybody who asks anything now. That shock and awe is wearing off. So there needs to be a new one, A, for the fear factor, and B, more compliance. When it's about the money and you're going to lose your life savings due to a new system that you don't understand because of a cryptocurrency issued by a central bank that reset your dollar 10 to 1, and now negative rates are built into the money that you get, your head's going to spin. A lot of people aren't going to understand that. And that's going to be more infuriating, frustrating, terrifying, and scary, which people will jump through 60 hoops to keep their money versus 1 or 2 hoops to go to a restaurant. Which is why I'm such a fan of long-term food storage, up to 25 years, Mylar packed, My Patriot supply, and Adapt 2030, the 2-week or the 4-week emergency food supply. That link's in the description box below if you'd like to take a look at what My Patriot supply has. In addition, water filters and a plethora of others that you might need for your own preps. It's a great way to support the channel. I hope you got something out of the video. I do thank you for watching and spending your time with me, and I'll see you next video.